Well, terrorism is basically targeting innocent civilians, taking the lives of innocent civilians for political reasons. And taking an innocent life is actually the biggest sin in Islam after worshiping another god with God. So it is very, very serious. It is considered a sin, and there is nothing in Islamic tradition that would give credibility to this practice. This is actually a practice that was adopted from modern groups like the Tamil Tigers, like some of the Palestinian groups, many of which were not even Muslims, Christians or communists. And unfortunately they adopted this tactic, but it is absolutely against the teachings of Islam. It comes under the title of haraba, which means sowing corruption on earth, because basically what you are doing is sowing fear in people's minds where there's no security and people are afraid to go out of their houses, which is the opposite of what Islam tries to instill in a society, which is a secure foundation for all people to go about their life. Additionally, terrorism punishes the innocent. So if someone goes out and blows himself up in a marketplace, they could be killing their own mother, for all we know. And in fact, we know that more Muslims have been killed by terrorist attacks than people outside the faith. And so there's absolutely no justice when you're going out and killing random people in the name of, making up for crimes against some other people. For people to equate terrorism with jihad is also false. The word jihad actually does not mean either terrorism or holy war. It means striving, and it can be done not only by physically defending something, but striving for good in any way that one sees possible. That could be speaking out against wrongs, writing against wrongs, or if necessary, actually trying to change wrongs with one's hands. And it can be seen as very similar to what is called the just war in Christianity, where people are allowed to defend themselves or to defend other people against aggression and oppression, which is the very reason that we went to war, the Civil War, World War I, World War II. Not that anyone was coming directly at this country, but we saw that the aggression being committed by Hitler could not stand, and in the name of that we went to war. The very revolutionary war that marked the beginning of this country was also similar in kind of the premise and the goal of that war. So there is that tradition in other faiths, and the concept of jihad is exactly that tradition, defending innocent people from injustice. That does not mean going out and blowing up innocent people to defend other innocent people. Two wrongs does not make a right. Islam is an ethical system, and one cannot use an ethical system to justify political means. And even in a state of war, there are very specific, concrete rules of warfare that were enumerated both by the Prophet Muhammad and the first Caliph, which prohibited targeting women, children, elderly, clergy, so civilians, basically non-combatants, and even infrastructure, which at that time included cutting down trees, poisoning wells, because you're affecting the entire population. So those are all prohibited, and it is considered a serious crime to harm other populations, something which is now prohibited under the Geneva Conventions, which unfortunately we see with modern warfare. It's very difficult to kind of avoid civilian casualties. But that is the position of Islam. Terrorists carrying out murder in the name of Islam are going against Islamic teachings and are basically using religion to justify criminal acts. And they are not heroes, they are not martyrs, they are criminals and murderers, and they will be held accountable for their actions by God.